wow, if I can buy $69,000 Bitcoin again, that is going to be unbelievable purchase. Can it go below that? Yeah, the simple moving average, I think, is 57, 58, and the EMA is about 68. So somewhere between 58 and 68, I think we have to test. You've had gold do something it hasn't done in 500 years. I think the signal is, hey, there is volatility everywhere and you need to embrace it.
If you're enjoying my content, it will mean the world to me if you could subscribe to the channel and like my video to support my journey. Thank you. Hey guys, welcome back to another show today. I'm here with a man who needs no introduction. Gary, thank you for doing this with us. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Good to be here.
I'm not sure about you, but 2025 to me was a very interesting year. So what do you think went wrong? Because technically on paper, we had everything set for a phenomenal year in Bitcoin, and yet something didn't go according to the plan.
You know, we started 2024 at 41,000. 2 years ago, we were at 42,000. And in February of 2025, right here, I don't know if you can see this, we were at 81,000 to 94. It traded on that day, 84 to 94. Went up to 125, 26,000. And we slipped ever since, October of 25 down all the way through now. We're at 73. So I think people talking about Bitcoin at $1 million is ridiculous. Okay, this is hopium. This is people that I think are over leveraged, or they have a bunch of Bitcoin. They bought it $300. They don't have a job. They don't do anything. They sit on podcast all day and they're waiting for their payday. And they're not buying more Bitcoin. I know they're not buying more Bitcoin because their average price never changes. My average price has gone up every year since I've been here. And all the money that's coming into Bitcoin, that money too will continue to accumulate Bitcoin. These old time 3-4 million Bitcoins that are sitting in at sub $3,000, if you push these whales on this, they will tell you, yeah, I have enough Bitcoin now. I don't need to buy any more Bitcoin. My view is, if I'm not buying something, I am now a seller, right? For instance, I'm a buyer of Bitcoin at 73. How do I know that? Because I have not sold one iota, one sat of Bitcoin. So if I'm not, to me, it's very binary. I'm either a buyer and a holder, or I'm a seller. And I think the guys that are sitting on $300 Bitcoin, there's just no incentive for them to do anything. And that is a problem. I think it's the major problem in the Bitcoin market, because we talk about liquidity a lot, but the truth is there's not a lot of those 3 or 4 million, 5 million, 6 million coins need to get priced at today's marketplace. Otherwise, we're going to have this weird market between 150,000 down to 60, 150 to 60. And it's going to do this until it shakes out. My thesis has been you're going to get these 3 million coins shaken out, not because of a high price, but because of a high price and then a really low price. And people are going to go, hey, I cannot hold on to this anymore. I think we have whales selling $73,000 right now because they're worried about this thing going to 34. And I think we're going lower. I'm not bullish here. That doesn't mean that I'm not buying Bitcoin here, but I think the price, and price to me is very, very important. I think price is the most important thing to any commodity. It gets people's attention, okay? A low price gets no one's attention. We had a big discussion yesterday about the ETF. Somebody was, talking about the ETFs, how bad they were. I'm like, dude, if you want $20,000 Bitcoin, that is where we would be without the ETFs. $20,000 Bitcoin. Peer-to-peer, me and Bruce Fenton trading Bitcoin for what? For nothing. We're just swapping Bitcoin? We need to do trades, man, right? If he's raising money for a company, I send him some Bitcoin, I buy into that company, but I'm not going to be buying his Bitcoin. Me and Bruce trading between each other is not a market. Okay, peer-to-peer, I got it. It's all beautiful. But if I want to buy a $30,000 TV, I'm looking for a TV seller. I'm not looking for a Bitcoin holder, right? If I'm looking for a boat to buy, just because somebody's got a bunch of Bitcoin doesn't mean they own a boat. or much less the boat that I want. In order for this market to be really liquid, man, I mean, where, everyone has to have Bitcoin, and we're years away from everyone having Bitcoin. I put a post out the other day and I tagged Matt Hogan of Bitwise. I think he's an awesome player in the space. He's selling paper Bitcoin products, by the way. I still think he's awesome for the space because I believe that most of the new money coming into Bitcoin is not going to do it the way the Bitcoiners would like them to do it. They're going to use the paper products they're used to acquire Bitcoin. I personally think that's very, very healthy. I think we're weak here. We're 73. I bought sub $75,000 Bitcoin 3 days ago. I will buy some more here. There's also something no one's talking about. I don't know why people that are in the know don't share this more often. For certain, at this price point, and I have already received one of these phone calls, if you have any kind of loan documents where you've got Bitcoin and you're borrowing against your Bitcoin to buy more Bitcoin, margin calls are happening right now. And what the exchanges do, Maurizio, is they call you beforehand. They go, hey, your account's starting to get slippy. We've moved from 95 to 73. We might call you this week for a margin call. Would you like to get ahead of that? And so, I moved some Bitcoin from self-custody to the loan document so I don't get the margin call. But that phone call is happening right now. I know for sure because I got one yesterday. And the cool thing is it's very easy for me to move 25, 50 Bitcoin into that custody position, but some people will not be in that position. They're probably paying 8 to 12% on the loan. Some people will say, hey, I can't do this anymore. I need to sell out, take my losses, and move down the road. So we're seeing some of that right now. And the crypto market on whole is very, very weak. Very weak. The token market. And it's got a lot of competition, dude. Gold, silver, the whole complex around AI and the future, robotics, the SpaceX and AI play that Elon's putting on. There's going to be a lot of money moves into that IPO. Such an awesome opportunity. I'm buying 73. I am $4,000 away from the hive 4 years ago. It's 69. Wow. If I can buy $69,000 Bitcoin again, that is going to be an unbelievable purchase. Can it go below that? Yeah, the simple moving average, I think, is 57, 58, and the EMA is about 68. So somewhere between 58 and 68, I think we have to test. We tested 88 and it wouldn't hold. So I'm just a really simple guy. I look at 73 grand and go, hey, are we more likely to go to 88 or 68? Are we more likely to go to 80 or 70? We're closer to 70 than we are 80. So I just think that and there's no crypto bros with any money. So this is going to require ETFs, strategy, and people like me, my brother, and other guys that came here, and their average cost is well above $3,000.
I completely agree. Plus, self-custody is not for everybody. And I have so many people, they have reached out and say, hey, can you hold it for me? Can you have the custody for me? I don't want to have the responsibility. I'd rather have someone in charge of my crypto, my Bitcoin in this case. So I completely agree. I don't care who's using the network. It's free, it's decentralized, it's open, right? I can't say who can participate or not. That's fiat money. I already have that. I want something that's permissionless, right? I can use it regardless. Interesting enough, whenever the ETF was approved, I think we were hovering around 50,000. I think it was 48, 50,000. So that's definitely also on the card. Like you mentioned also, gold and silver, they stole the show. Like we've seen volatility, like silver was trading like a meme coin. Dude, it corrected like 40%.
In a day, dude. In a day.
If gold and silver are correcting so much, of course, Bitcoin, which is more volatile, is risk-on asset more compared to gold and silver.
I've been in these markets for 40 years. I don't think anyone on Wall Street, let me say it this way. 300 analysts that follow NVIDIA all missed $250 billion move in 4 hours. That's never happened before, where you have a stock widely held, 300 analysts looking at it, not one of them were expecting that. And the stock shoots up $250 million in a day. I did that now 4 times. where it went down and then went back up. You had silver move from 75 to 121 and back down in 2 days. That is staggering. You've had gold do something it hasn't done in 500 years. I think the signal is, hey, there is volatility everywhere and you need to embrace it because it is not going away. This thing is like we're in new territory now. We've never been here before, man. And we have Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is, if silver, gold, NVIDIA, I mean, we have Microsoft moving. One guy lost $400 billion in a day on a stock price, right? So Bill Gates, and well done, Bill, for all your great PR that you're getting this week. It's awesome. You're one of the great leaders of humanity. I mean, we're going to watch this guy go burn and go bankrupt. I think this is awesome. However, this is putting serious tension on some of these stocks because the entire board, I'll probably get banned for this, but the entire board of Microsoft needs to be held responsible for knowing and not talking about what they knew. And under no circumstances is Reid Hoffman or Bill Gates going to be able to sit on any board or act as an advisor to anyone in the future. If you're a board member or an advisor, you have no interest in being associated with this pig. So people are going to start looking around going, dude, what were you guys doing for 20 years? Like, there's no way you didn't know. So I think there's some companies that, we could find companies have been supported by this activity, and that's going to damage the share price. There's just a lot people don't know right now. And when people don't know stuff and it becomes this violent, they back up. They back up and they rethink about what they're going to do. The best way for me to look at Bitcoin is not to talk about Bitcoin. The best way for me to talk about Bitcoin is to go, hey, I think we're digitizing planet Earth. Now, what does that mean? That means we're not going to use pencils and Excel spreadsheets for the future. Just like the cavemen no longer paint on the cave walls with blood. Okay, we progress. Oh, wow, we have a pigment. Oh, we now can make, oils, and we make acrylics, and people can paint on a canvas. Wow, isn't that an advancement? People are now painting and creating art on digital formats that have no dimensions whatsoever, and it's pretty cool art. So if we're digitizing planet Earth, I don't think that you're ever going to listen to an 8-track tape player. The big clunky. Me and my brother used to have a Mustang, 1966 baby blue Mustang. Dude, it was awesome. We were so cool. It was unbelievable. We had a tape player that had to be at least this big, okay, like a small TV. And then we'd shove this tape in there. It's about this big. I'm just doing this for those guys that don't know what an 8-track tape is. And we'd listen to Grand Funk and Chicago and Led Zeppelin on these tapes. It would wobble while we're driving, because the tapes. And today I have all of that music times 1 billion, and I don't even need a piece of equipment. Amazing, dude. Okay. And by the way, I don't even use Apple, who distorted and disrupted the entire music market with iPod. I don't even use their music platform on the phone they sold me with embedded music. I use Spotify. Now, why is that? They made it easy for me to use Spotify, even though the music's sitting on Apple. Okay, maybe it was the logo. I don't know. But I don't know anybody that uses Apple Music. So don't tell me that people aren't going to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase. Because it's a similar analogy, man. It's a platform. Let's just think about this, okay? I don't think it's in Coinbase's best interest to steal from all their clients. I think they won't have a business tomorrow if they do that often, okay? If they close often, if they're not available when the markets are really liquid and they shut down, or price volatility. So they have everything to gain and nothing to gain by being like the old school bankers have been. And it doesn't mean that, look, I actually believe centralization is not as bad as people say it is. For instance, why are we using a centralized platform right now? Why is it that for my birthday party on March 28th, I'm having it at my home? maybe we should just do it on Spaces and have a decentralized, safe party. There will be many people that won't come to the party because they don't want to travel and they don't want to get exposed to whatever. Cool, dude, but you're not going to have as much fun. We're going to have a blast here. And that's a visceral experience that you won't forget. So to me, people should be able to come and go into and out of Bitcoin as they choose with all the tools. And if the Bitcoin maxis won a $20,000 market, which I actually think some of them might like that, then cool. But I won't be here and nobody of my genre will be here. We will move somewhere else. I can go to AI, dude. I can buy into the SpaceX IPO. Okay. I get those phone calls. I can go do stuff with private equity again all day long and get 100Xs. I got to wait 10 years. You know, the other thing I think that may be a problem is that I think there's a lot of short-term interest from Bitcoiners. And notice the way people like me think. I don't ever even think about the short term. The only reason I'm looking at the short term is, oh, wow, dude, I can buy some more of this stuff. The biggest mistake I have made with Bitcoin is I bought into this, hey, this commodity is not going to be available one day. And that has not been true for a day since I've been here. That product has been available for me to buy. And in fact, I will never chase Bitcoin again. I have chased Bitcoin a bit. I bought some 102s, and the formula for buying Bitcoin, if you look back in the past, when it has a 40% retracement like it does right now, you buy the out of Bitcoin. And until then, you just stack cash. I'm not chasing this. I'll never buy 101% of the Bitcoin price again. I now have, oh man, I've been here long enough to know this thing will come back. I'm going to buy a $68,000 Bitcoin. Want to bet? How do I know I'm going to do it? Because not one Bitcoin face with a big long bag will sell me a bet that I won't buy 68. They won't. They're scared. They're like, I'll lose 100 grand. Like, I think you will buy 68. I know they're not. I know I'm going to buy 68 because they're not protecting 68. They're not buying it. There's no organic buyers in Bitcoin. This has to come from the external world. It has to come from people like me. I don't mean to keep talking about me, but I'm the only old guy I know here that keeps deploying money. Okay, even some of the guys that have been around I mean, there's some guys here that bought a lot of Bitcoin, dude. Hey, is Galaxy still buying Bitcoin? Is Novogratz still buying, or is he still holding on to his $386 Bitcoin? People need to really think about this. Hey, there's 4 million Bitcoin sitting in the market under 3 grand. And if you do not believe that impacts liquidity, you have no idea what you're doing here. Okay, like that most certainly impacts. There's another 3 or 4 million coins that no one wants to talk about that have been lost. Now, everybody gets all freaky about quantum computing. I don't know why anyone's going, dude, quantum computing is going to go after those lost coins. That is a good solution for the lost coins. But if you're not expecting them, there's also some dirty coins that are trying to get in the market that continue to not be able to access this market. Look, I don't need to be right. I know that I come across very convicted and I have a strong conviction or confidence level, but I have no ego need to be right. I just want to make a load of money. And I don't want to be wrong. See, I would rather not be wrong than be right. To me, that's really mature. Hey, I don't need to be right, but I most certainly don't want to be wrong. One of the things is just even this conversation and reviewing the mistakes I've made, I can breathe more in Bitcoin now. Before, kind of was like, ooh, dude, I need to look at the price. I need to move this really quickly. I need to make my play. I don't think that's true. I think you can ease into this thing, go slow with urgency, okay? But the urgency should be on collecting more fiat. I collect fiat and then I convert it to Bitcoin. I collect fiat, I earn some money, and I buy Bitcoin. I don't buy Bitcoin and sit there and play with my all day long, okay? I go out and create more. And I think we have a world where a lot of the Bitcoiners aren't creating new fiat. And that's their choice. But if you're not creating more fiat, then you're not buying more Bitcoin. Well, you're not part of the solution then, are you? So this is a market that's, it's 17. It's acting like it's 17. It's really, really acting like it's 17 years old. That will not always be the case, man. It will not. These markets either grow up or they go away. And growing up means, hey, maturing. Here's a good example of the maturing that needs to happen. When Exxon had this oil spill in Valdez, you didn't hear the CEO of BP going online, going on Twitter, going, well, Exxon's an idiot. Okay, that's what's happening in crypto. This guy's bitching about this guy. That guy's bitching. It's like, wow, you guys are so childish. It's ridiculous. This is just JP Morgan does not bitch about Barclays' bad CEO. They stay quiet, man. Why? Because they know pissing on their own industry is not productive. Okay, the enemy is not inside of Bitcoin. I actually think the enemy is inside of Bitcoin, but I'm not your enemy, dude. I'm buying Bitcoin. I mean, half the maxis hate me. It's like, wow, dude, I'm buying Bitcoin at 10 and 30 times more than you paid for it. And you hate me? Wow. Why do you hate me? Well, because you don't believe in self-custody. I'm like, all I said was that the future of Bitcoin, the people that are going to buy Bitcoin in the future are not going to be big self-custody advocates. Half the people that self-custody their Bitcoin don't even carry a weapon with them. Now, I found that bizarre. If you're a self-custody guy, you should be carrying a weapon with you every 24/7 or have security. And the reason I use this analogy is I own maybe 300 weapons. I don't carry all my weapons with me to lunch. I carry one gun and one magazine. I don't carry my entire wallet of weapons to lunch. I don't carry the 1,000,000 rounds that I have in storage to lunch either. So why would I carry $100 million on a Bitcoin wallet? Why would I do that? Or 10 million? Okay, like why would I do that? That seems really, really unsafe. Oh, God, did 3 or 4 million coins get lost? Did they get lost on Coinbase or Binance, or did they get lost in self-custody? I don't know, dude. I don't care. I have a lot of money. I don't carry all the money in my Range Rover. Why? Because of security, dude. That's why. I had 23,000 ounces of silver. I don't put it in my car and drive around with it every day. Oh, and if I was trading silver and gold right now, the last thing I would do is touch a physical ounce. I would be trading the paper right now because I can get in and out of the paper within minutes. If I sell $10 million worth of gold, physical gold, dude, it will take me 2 weeks to get that trade settled. And no one's going to give me a price today on making sure in 3 days that gold or silver is really real. They're not going to take that exposure when it's this violent. They're going to say, Gary, I'll give you the price when the gold shows up and it's approved. So the cool thing about Bitcoin, it's really instant. It's a beautiful, people that have never used it don't really understand it, but you move $3 or $4 million on a weekend, you're like, wow, that was really simple, man. Like I just smashed $4 million worth of Bitcoin into a loan. It took me less than 2 minutes, man. 2 minutes, okay? And I'm not good at this. I'm not comfortable with it, but it literally took me 2 minutes. Until you use it, you really don't know how valuable this tool is. To have no intermediaries between a transaction, for me, is so calming. Because when I get a secretary on the phone and she's validating my social security number and the codes and the ACH numbers and the checking number, I'm doing 89 miles an hour down the freeway. I'm like, yeah, that sounds right. It's not security, man. And I'm being recorded. She won't even let me record. The bank, if you tell the bank, yeah, I'm recording too, they'll hang up on you. Try that sometime. Oh, yes, we're recording you for authenticity. And, oh, yeah, I'm recording you also. They will not have the phone call. I did that once, and they were like, nah, can't do this. We're in a very bizarre period of history around the world, politically, regulatory-wise, technologically-wise, and Bitcoin shows up 15, 17 years ago, It needed every month of getting prepared for this next moment. If Bitcoin was being launched today, we'd be too late. It's amazing to me how everything is converging at the right time, all on top of each other. AI, technology, this whole issue on wages and salaries and working, UBI, taxes, the whole deal. I think it's all converging for a really, really interesting moment. And to be an American and to be able to see, oh, wow, actually, if I was in government right now, I have a very clear vision of how America holds on for another 100 to 250 years to our hegemony. I really believe that, and I believe Bitcoin is a piece of that, a piece. I do not believe we're going to get a strategic reserve. I never believed that. And if you're waiting on a strategic reserve, I think you're crazy, okay? States will do this faster than the federal government will do it, which is awesome. That's where it should be. This is decentralization, man. Game theory. Okay, let the guys like me collect the shit out of this stuff. And then there'll be another group of people that'll come along, dude, in 3 years. Okay, I'm getting on the train. Nobody's on this train. There's 500 million investors on the planet. Less than 10 million people have more than $4,000 in Bitcoin. Less than 10 million people. I checked this out with Bitwise the other day. Matt said, Matt, people keep talking about 8 billion people. There's 500 million people that invest money. That's it. 2% allocation, a 2% penetration in that market is 10 million people. And the 10 million people, guarantee it's not more than 2% of their total wealth. Guarantee you. Okay? $4,444 would be that number. We have 10 million people that invested evenly. Well, that's interesting. See, I like that data. I like that data a lot. Wow, nobody's in this game yet, dude. Nobody. I know y'all think it's been grown, but it has not grown. Me and my twin brother, look, when I came here 3 or 4 years ago, within a year, I'd met everybody. I'm like, wow, this is a really tiny industry, man. For a guy like me to now be considered, oh, Gary's an expert on Bitcoin, it just shows you how small the space is. That's all this shows you, okay? And I am really good at some things, okay? I mean, 3 or 4 things I'm really good at. It makes sense to me. Whether I can stay here or not will simply be down to what you and I were talking about earlier, which is ethics and morality and consistency. Like, I don't pump bags. I don't pump products. I don't tell people what to do. I don't share. And I just bought 1 million shares of some company, and that means you should buy it too. These guys they're long-term, their credibility is going to get destroyed. And rightly so, okay? Because they're really talking to people that are getting, most of the people have an IQ of 98. If I have a higher IQ than 98, I need to be respectful of the facts. One, I need to communicate with these people at their level. And 2, I know as a human being that 98 IQs follow people with bigger IQs, okay? Whether they're honest or they're not honest, no matter what their intentions are, because we sound smarter. We can put words together. But I think a lot of these guys are getting hoodwinked, okay? I really believe a lot of these guys are getting mesmerized by some of the celebrities in this space. They forget to think about, hey, what's the agenda of that human being? And why didn't he share his cost base with me? I take no advice from anyone that doesn't make a shitload more money than me, and I know how they got there. So this is my point. If you have $300 Bitcoin, I'm pretty sure that you're going to have a different perspective than me. You have to, man. You have to. You've been through more. You've been through more ups and downs. Maybe you have less. Maybe you have more money. Maybe you got lucky. Maybe you were brilliant. I don't know. Like, I think there's a lot of lottery ticket winners here. When I win a lottery ticket, I don't confuse myself and believe that I'm a genius. I'm like, dude, I was lucky. Thank you. But I don't go, okay, I'm a genius now, right? Hey, I got lucky, dude. I think a lot of people got lucky, and it's cool they got lucky. But that doesn't mean they understand the financial markets, right? And there's no way Bitcoin gets to a real serious price point without global adoption. And global adoption is from the guys that crypto people hate, the super rich, man. okay? The institutions. Sorry, that's where adoption is going to come. Try to sell a fucking bunch of t-shirts without going through Amazon or Walmart. You're not going to sell a bunch of t-shirts without going through a centralized platform, man. You might sell 12, but you're not going to sell 12 million t-shirts without going through one of these central authorities. And I, quite frankly, I'm not convinced centralization is as bad as people say it is. Now, I don't know who owns Guess Ecamm Live, this platform we're using, but if they do something that's bad, you're just going to flip to StreamYard. You'll flip to YouTube. There's so many platforms. So that's cool. We have competition. As long as the regulations make these firms stay open access, that's the word they use in energy. When we were reforming the energy business, we were just like, hey man, everybody should be treated the same. ExxonMobil and DuPont should not have a position that is favorable to them over Joe Consumer. And Gary Cardone wants to trade energy. I have credit lines. I've done everything that DuPont did. I've done everything that Exxon did. It's called an ISDA agreement. If you want to trade nat gas or oil or electricity, you're going to sign an ISDA agreement, and it puts everyone on the exact same playing field. BP is not treated any better than me. And that market today works extremely well. Nat gas went to $7 the other day. Went up 25% in 3 days. Then it clocked 29% decline in 1 day. That's supply and demand working, man. Supply and demand is working when you can have that kind of volatility. And we have it everywhere. Nat gas, crude oil, electricity, Bitcoin, yield markets. We have Microsoft moving 20% in a day. That's staggering, man. Staggering kind of volatility.
You mentioned the fact that Bitcoin is a baby, and I completely agree. It's only 17 years old. There's going to be money at some point flowing in Bitcoin. So do you think it's going to be slowly, like we say, gradually and then suddenly? So it's going to slow in, or do you think at some point it's going to just pop in?
When I first came here, well, not when I first came here, when I started deploying real money here, I remember Saylor talking about, hey, look, all this money, and other people, I'm not picking on Saylor, but all this money from bonds, equities, energy, it's all going to flow into Bitcoin. We're going to take from these other industries. And I'm like, I don't think that's necessary for Bitcoin to be successful. And I also believe that people underestimate inertia. People underestimate a lady 40, 50, 60 years old that has $300,000 sitting in a bank account making no cash. They don't consider the inertia that needs to be moved through in order for her to actually call the bank and move that money. It's called migration, right? Migration stickiness is a real thing. And people don't like to migrate. It's once you have a customer, they tend to be a customer unless you do something really bad, which I don't know a bank that hasn't treated their customers horribly. But it goes to show you they don't leave. They stay there because it's a lot of work to move it, right? And that's what they love all this paperwork, because they know the migration is a problem. I think a better way to look at Bitcoin is not people moving funds from treasuries or gold, and maybe with all this volatility, it does wake people up. And they start going, hey, I need to be more nimble. But let's just think about all the real estate distributions that are made every year that I get. Let's think about all the private equity, which is where all the money in the world is made. 70% of all the great wealth on this planet is not made in real estate. It's made by building companies, like what I've done my whole life, right? You're broke for 10 years, then you sell your company and you got a bunch of money. Private equity distributions will move into Bitcoin. $65 trillion it's transferring from old people to the younger people. They are not going to keep that same advisor. They're going to look at their world very differently. That money's not going to just sit in IBM stock forever and ever. Those kids are going to do something different. They're going to sell every house that comes to them in that trust. They'll dump, real estate will get trashed because the three family members have zero interest in sitting in that big house their family was in with all the memories, split it up 3 ways, hey, we just want our money. There'll be a big argument over it. That's such a sin, right? So sad. But all that real estate gets sold. So I just look at, hey, I don't need to, Bitcoin doesn't need to take anything from anyone. It just needs to, because this is the question. If you're already maxed out in bonds, real estate, and I actually believe this is true. This is my theory, has been my theory on Bitcoin for a long time. We are not at peak supply, peak energy. We are at peak consumption. We have literally bought everything on the planet that can be bought, and no one needs anything else. There is no chance that Americans need one more t-shirt in their closet. They don't need any more tennis shoes. They don't need any more jeans, and they don't need any more $40 underwears. Come on, man. Okay, I look at my house, dude, I am a pig. I have t-shirts. There's just no, like, much less a $38 or $40 or $70 t-shirt. Okay, once that marginal consumption goes away, we're going to see the real market. Okay, and people, like, somebody was bitching at me the other day saying, hey, look, nobody can afford a house. I'm like, dude, isn't that awesome? Okay, isn't that awesome? The market is actually behaving in such a way as it's telling a 30-year-old kid, do not buy a house, dude. Do not buy a house. And they're all begging to buy a house. And me and my brother, why do you guys want to buy a house? I have owned 5 homes in my life, lived in 25. What? Nobody cares. You're not going to ask me if you come to my party, hey, do you own the house, or do you have debt, or do you rent it? It's a house, man. Who cares? When I go to a hotel, I don't buy the whole hotel. The girl I'm with doesn't look at me and go, dude, do you own the Hilton, or are you renting a room? Okay, yeah. She would literally get pushed out of the cab if she asked me that. I mean, who cares, right? Oh, I have to own it. So I think that money, all the money that's sitting in the distributions, your savings plan, all that stuff should move into another strategy. Doesn't mean that it's going to be exclusive strategy, and it's not going to be exclusive strategy. This is why I've never believed in the SBR. It's ridiculous. Bitcoin's going to be the SBR. Bitcoin's too small. Dude, come on, man. Be practical here. $20 trillion of gold, $6 trillion of silver, and you got 1.6 trillion of Bitcoin. Bitcoin's not going into the reserve. It might be a part of a reserve. I could see it being 2%, 5%, but not much more. And it's going to be there with other things, silver, gold, whatever. So look, I think it's cool that this is going slow. It's going to go slow. This is inertia, man. Took Visa, MasterCard 52 years to get all those credit cards in your back pocket. With regulatory oversight and protection, man. You cannot go to a soccer game or a rugby game or a tennis match anywhere in the world and not see Visa, MasterCard's logos. Nowhere, dude, in the world. Okay, subliminally, you think Visa and MasterCard are cash. I mean, you think they're banks. Most people think Visa and MasterCard are banks. Okay, they're toll fees, they're tolls that take a clip. This is going to be a massive issue for Bitcoin in the retail sector. In the shopping thing, that the Bitcoin, hey, they need to be buying potato chips, which I massively disagree with. It's just the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life, that you would use pristine money to buy something that was made from fiat. Why would I use money that has no recourse rights when I can use US dollars that has recourse rights, or a Visa card, it has insurance and recourse rights as a consumer? Why would I use Bitcoin unless someone was giving me a massive discount? 20% is what I consider the starting point for me to transfer Bitcoin into potato chips. Otherwise, I'm better off using bullshit Kool-Aid US dollars or Visa card that have these rights, and the merchant seems to be cool with offering them. Okay, if you're cool with having a 20% exposure to a chargeback, cool, dude. I'm giving you fiat. And if you want to do a real deal, then let's do it with Bitcoin. But I'm not paying you 100 cents on the dollar. My money's better. So I think that Bitcoin's going to find it to be a massive struggle to go retail, because I don't care how many people build Lightning. First off, Lightning is not Bitcoin. I've already gone to a centralized center. So Bitcoin needs to work on Bitcoin. I don't need to go, oh, well, but Lightning's different. Lightning's a third party, dude. I mean, I like the Lightning guys, but it's a third party solution. It's not Bitcoin. So that's already telling me they understand they need distribution pipes. You know, you need ways to make this really easy. This is the most difficult thing in the world. Like, it's a friction here is staggering. You know, Visa and MasterCard, Ant Financial came to the United States and lasted about a year. Ant Financial, right? Like monsters. The reason they couldn't survive here is they don't have any of the insurance rights, the chargeback and dispute rights that the consumer is addicted to. The consumer is a very, very fickle buyer, and they return a lot of shit. I know a retailer in England, they sell T-shirts, they sell clothes. 40% of their clothes in 2024 were returned, dude. Now, how do you make a living as a merchant when 40% of your T-shirts are being returned? Wow. By the way, why are you and I paying the same price that Bobby Refunder pays? I don't file refunds and chargebacks. So I am the good customer on those rails, literally paying more for the poor behavior of the masses on that retailer. They file refunds and chargebacks, pay the same price that I pay, but I never file any of those things. So you have a world of multiple markets, high quality consumer, monster credit. Why am I paying the same price? I pitched this to Visa and MasterCard. They hated it. Hey, look, I should be able to buy things cheaper than all your other players. And they're like, huh? Dude, I don't refund, I don't charge back. I don't stress the system. I am a blue ribbon 5-star buyer. You have a girl in a prison buying $500 shoes and filing a chargeback and keeping the shoes, dude. Why is she paying the same price as me? You know she has a score that's less than mine. You know what their answer is? We would be skinned and boiled in public by the normal public if we did that. Gary Cardone gets cheaper credit card rates than Joe Schmo. Yeah, that's the way the real world works, man. Right? You have better credit, you have better, that's what all these credit ratings are for, right? Supposedly. So it's, you know, if I own 14 homes and never missed a debt, should I get mortgage rates that are cheaper than other people that have less credibility? I have Bitcoin. Bitcoin's given me a solution. Hey, I don't want my money to be treated like it's Kool-Aid, and just because a bunch of people piss in the Kool-Aid, I'm still paying the same price and drinking the same Kool-Aid. I want the good Kool-Aid for my good behavior. If you haven't been through a transformation in an industry before, I can see how this would be like, what the F is going on? We are having a whole marketplace like it's almost like the planet is settling, it's changing. You just got to look into the future and go, hey, am I going back to the 8-track tape or not? Because I don't think we are. And if we are, that means we're Mad Max.